حتى تعانق دمعة الفكر تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة تسري فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم كالطير تحلق في ثقافات وتنهل من ربى الخير.
Okay, assalamu alaikum guys, hope you guys are doing well. I've got two dear guests here, as you can see, Muhammad Hijab and Brother Musa. They've come and I'm looking after them with fruit. Look at my hospitality, look at this.
Muhammad Hijab and Musa Niqab.
Oh.
It's a good thing because we'll actually talk about hijab today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
so it's quite appropriate, myself.
I actually haven't seen this video we're going to be reacting to.
Alright, when I kind of saw it briefly and I was like, really? Like, are sisters really affected by this? Like in a way like, oh, like she found something new?
And not just sisters, brothers, it could be as well.
Yeah, brothers as well, both. Brothers and sisters, like.
Back in time, 1400 years, to the city of Medina, Saudi Arabia. When a woman awoke in the middle of the night with the urge to relieve herself, she would have to walk out past the outskirts of the city and into the wild by herself. Believe it or not, a group of men actually began to see an opportunity in women's nightly trance.
Can you pause for a second?
Which was a garment, like a coat. The men knew to leave her alone. A jilbab of centuries ago was a status symbol, like a Burberry trench or a Chanel jacket. It announced that the woman was free, and a free woman was protected by her clan. She would have no problem speaking out against the attacker and identifying him. But if the woman walking out at night wasn't wearing a jilbab, if she happened to be dressed a bit more freely, then the men knew she was a slave, and they attacked her. Concerned members of the community brought the situation to the Prophet, and like so many other social, political, and familial issues that Muhammad faced during his prophethood, he turned this particular matter over to God. And a verse was revealed for the Quran, the Muslim holy book. O Prophet, it reads, tell your wives, your daughters, and the women of the believers to draw upon themselves their garments. This is better, so that they not be known and molested.
This is selective translation here. As we'll come to realize, is a very specific kind of garment which covers this very specific type of the body. Well, there's another part of the Quran which says that, which hopefully she'll mention.
Basically, the verse advises that all women dress similarly, so that they can't be picked out from one another. And then there was the matter of practicality. How would a slave do her work? How would she function if her body was constricted by a coat?
No, so she's
How would
saying
she
that.
cook,
So
clean,
she
fetch water?
She doesn't need to wear.
In the end, the early Muslim scholars ruled that a woman's way of dress should be based on two considerations.
A woman's Muslim
A
dress.
woman's function in society, her role, what we might consider her job, and the society's specific customs.
Okay.
Or, in another way,
okay.
when in Rome. Now, Muslims like to take historical rulings and apply them to the modern era.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I understand what she's saying.
The scholars have said those two things, so that's the principle. Yeah?
Okay.
So that's the basis.
She's saying the principle
it's based on social.
for what you wear
Yes.
is who you are, in society.
And what's the second one?
That's her social status and how the norms of society.
Okay, she mentioned those two, yeah?
Yeah.
She's saying that's the basis. So she's saying that was back then.
So if it's
what the scholars are doing a mistake is bringing that to today's time and saying, no, this is a different era.
She's saying what scholars are doing is making historical evidence.
She's doing qiyas with timings. In those times were like this, in these times are like that.
Alright, okay, well...
Is that correct?
It's not correct, because there are some things which are thabit in the deen, which are very straightforward, like prayers.
Yeah.
If you use the same logic, so 5 prayers a day are historical ruling, It came down at the time of the Prophet.
Yeah.
So, what's going to stop us from praying now? Is there anything stopping us from praying now? What's the difference here between the injunctions of prayer and injunctions of anything else? Like fasting. Where is the line going to be drawn? Who's going to draw the line?
Yeah.
So she's attempting to draw the line in a place where it suits maybe her personal
preference
or preference. Yeah. But then she has to be asked, where are you getting this information from?
This one
is this coming from the Quran or Sunnah? Or is it coming from scholarly consensus? Or is it coming from you? Yeah. And if it's coming from you, then who are you?
And this is really important because a lot of people that come and say, I, me, I, we discuss this a lot, yeah? be careful. You know why? Because we're saying, look, the Quran, the Sunnah, and the Salaf, yeah? These three are key. If somebody comes and says to you, I, me, we, interpret it like that, be careful. Because we're looking for Quran, Sunnah, and the Salaf, yeah?
And
Did they understand it like
Quran,
that?
Sunnah, Ijma' as well.
A woman's way of dress should be based on custom and function.
Custom and function.
So what does that mean for a Muslim woman living in America today? For someone like me? First, it means that I have a function, a role in society, a contribution that I can make. Second, it means that while I'm making that contribution and living in a society where veiling is not the custom, and where in fact if I veil it might actually lead to harassment, then wearing what is the custom, such as a dress, a pair of jeans, or even yoga pants, is not only acceptable.
What's the yoga? What are yoga pants? Sorry.
What? Huh?
Yoga pants like them. Yoga pants.
Like
Okay,
tie, leggings.
Okay. So, where the question is, where's she getting this information?
Before she got to the information, what did she say last? Because she said what's it, detrimental? And she said
She goes, it's because it causes harassment now to wear a hijab.
Yeah. Or
Then it's a
niqab,
different,
yeah.
So that's
no,
what
that's ridiculous. Because what she's basically trying to say, I understand what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say wearing the niqab, it's come to a point, it's so dangerous, the sister's life's in danger here. The scholars might come and say, look, sister is better with the hijab.
We're not talking about
what she's saying is, look, full out, basically, I have to look like you. So then
what she's saying is what she's wearing.
No, what?
Yeah, she's saying what she's wearing is fine, basically.
What she's saying is
that's clear.
We have to bow, is what she's really saying.
Yeah.
We have to bow to the post-colonial Western expectation.
Yeah.
Do you get it? And if we don't bow to that, because we're going to be harassed otherwise, then we're going to be fearful of our harassment. And therefore, if we're fearful of our harassment, we shouldn't practice our religion. So if tomorrow they say don't pray, we should say, okay, the same thing applies with prayer then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if after tomorrow they say don't say the shahada, don't say you're Muslim, then the same thing will continue to apply until there's nothing left of Islam.
Yeah.
And so if because the thing is, she's going against the
no, of course. Look,
consensus here.
Just say this, bro. Just say this. I find it hard to wear it, but the commandment is clear. Just say that instead of.
Well, let's see what she has to say. Let's continue. Let's see how it goes.
Wait, could that be right? After all, haven't we all come to assume that a Muslim woman must veil? That veiling is a requirement of her faith.
Okay.
There's even a term that we've all come to associate with the Muslim woman's veil, an Arabic term that we've all heard used whether or not we've been aware of it. Hijab.
Is she calling me?
So maybe I missed it. Maybe the requirement that a woman veil is in a different part of the Quran. For those of you who don't know, the Quran consists of 114 chapters. Of the 6,000 plus verses, 3 refer to how a woman should dress. The first is the verse I've already told you about. The second is a verse that directly speaks to the Prophet's wives, asking that they begin to dress a bit more modestly because of their role, their function in society as his wives. And the third verse is similar to the first in that it was revealed in direct response to a historical situation. Early records show that the custom, the fashion during the pre-Islamic era was for women to wear a scarf on the head called a khimar.
Stop right there, my friend.
Behind the ears.
Okay, this is, I'm sorry to have to do this, right? But since she's going to come out now and reinvent the wheel, we have to be convinced of her qualifications and her ability to have access to the Quran. So she called it a khimar.
Does anyone know who she is?
What's I don't know, it's Anna Masami or something, but let me tell you something. Khimar is nothing. In Arabic it means nothing. The word she was trying to actually pronounce was khimar. Okay? So khimar is the way to say the word. Now, I'm not, believe you me, I'm not trying to be petty here. I am not. But I'm saying, if you're going to come out and try and reinvent the wheel and you can't even pronounce the word properly, then that shows something about your...
It's ignorance, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's ignorance.
Totally. But don't have the courage to spread your ignorance.
But to flow behind the back. In the front, a woman wore a tight vest or a bodice, which she left open, exposing
Before,
her
she's talking about before.
Well,
Jahiliyyah.
images you see in
It's true, Jahiliyyah, they used to wear stuff like that.
When Islam spread through the Arabian Peninsula, a verse was sent down asking that women use this scarf or any other garment to cover the breasts. And that's it. That's basically all there is in the Quran concerning how...
No.
Okay, Muhammad Hijab is not happy about this.
I'm not happy because...
Why?
So the verse in the Quran, chapter 24, verse 31. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. So let them, i.e. the women, throw their khimars over their bosoms. Yeah? This khimar here, the word khimar itself, look at any Arabic dictionary of the early period.
Yeah.
Lisan al-Arab, Taj al-Arus, Mufradat al-Quran, anything you want.
Yeah.
Look at any of the Arabic poetry.
Yeah.
Look at, because the Jahili poetry,
Yeah.
the old Arabic poetry, it tells us what the Arabs how used to use words.
Yeah.
Look at any of the ahadith that are used of the Prophet. The word khimar means a head covering that goes down. That's what it means.
Also, doesn't it mean like, alcohol? What's alcohol? Khamr.
Khamr, yeah.
Khamr. Doesn't that mean that it covers the head? You know when you drink alcohol,
It covers the mind.
It covers
the
your
mind.
judgment.
It covers the mind.
Which is it's a root word if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's the same word.
Yeah.
But it covers the mind. Yeah.
Yes.
So I wouldn't use that as evidence here. But what I'm saying is that it's from the head. It starts from the head.
Yeah.
The word itself, something which starts the head and goes down. Now the question is, where does it go down to? And this is where the discussion is with the Muslim scholars. Yeah. Some scholars, which are the minority, we have to say, but still, just because they're minority doesn't mean that they have a weaker opinion.
Yeah.
The Hanabila, they say it goes down fully, so it covers the face as well.
Yeah.
And some others say no, it goes down like this. Yeah. So in other words, it goes down, but it allows the hands and the face to be shown. Now, this is a very well-known difference of opinion, but it starts from the head. The word khimar necessitates a begin. There's absolutely, the thing. If there's any doubt about it, it would have been talked about by someone in the past. But there's no doubt about it whatsoever that for the 1,400 years of Islamic history and the hundreds, I'm not talking about tens of thousands, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of scholars that have discussed this matter, have always confined it to this difference of opinion. Either it's the face and the hands that are covered.
Has any scholar ever come and said
no scholar in the history of Islam has ever said that no head can be covered for a free woman.
Turns out God doesn't give a bullet point of all the parts on a woman's body that He wants hidden from view. And in fact, it might be argued, and it is argued. I cannot stress enough that it is argued by many Muslim scholars.
Wait, stop.
The reason these verses were left intentionally vague is so that a woman could choose for herself how to dress according to her
Alright, one second.
culture and the progression of time.
Please tell me which scholar said that.
It's just I could sit here and say, guys, loads of scholars, so many have said that me drinking wine is cool, man.
Yeah.
That it's not a reference.
Yeah. Look, we're passionate.
Yeah.
Let's not target her. But it's ignorance, yeah? So we're just upset with the ignorance, yeah?
It's responding to the point.
Yes,
responding to the point.
How's that ignorance?
Yeah. So like, which scholar? Because she's coming up with these stuff, these stories.
Ali, I mean,
have you heard of this? Okay, look.
Let me tell you something. If we stood in front of a Christian,
yeah,
or a Jew, or an atheist, or anyone, because we argue against these people, we say, look, a lot of your scholars say this, a lot of your scholars say that, and we just said it like that.
Yeah.
What's the first question they have a right to
which
ask?
Scholar?
Which scholar said that?
Let me ask you a question as well, yeah? At the time, before Islam, would women go around the Kaaba topless and naked?
Bro, it did happen, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, this actually goes against her initial point.
Yeah. What?
Oh,
because she said that it needs to be a societal norm. It needs to be a norm in society. And you need to be accustomed to your society. You need to be dressing in a way that your society is comfortable with.
Yeah.
A full jilbab is not what the Arabs were comfortable with at that time.
Oh, do you get his point?
If they would go around topless, and if they would go around the Kaaba naked, how is that a societal norm?
Yeah, you actually
it goes against your point.
Yeah.
Wearing a jilbab in this country is more of a societal norm than you would have been wearing it at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Before his coming.
Before Islam.
And also, can I say something? Isn't it referred to, because I can remember I did a video about this a long time ago, isn't the word khimar actually refers to like,
Yeah, you spoke about this.
like, where are your socks? Where does my socks belong? On my head? On my hand?
Yeah.
Like what I'm trying to say is the word itself
Yeah.
is that when it was used with the Arabs, when they would look at a horse, and if the horse was white and this part of his head onwards was black, they would have said, oh look, he's wearing a khimar. So doesn't the khimar, the word actually mean that it's the word within itself is actually referring to the head.
The head,
like just the way if I say to you, look.
The socks refer to the feet.
Thank you.
Yes, there, like that.
Exactly.
And that term hijab, guess what? It's not in any of these 3 verses.
Okay, one second. Sorry, I think this is the only reaction video I've ever done that I stop every 10 seconds. one second.
Go on, bro.
This, you know why there's a big problem here?
Yeah.
The word hijab has got nothing to do with the veil anyways.
Sorry, it's true.
Okay, now what she's done is this. We have come to this country, and in this country we've referred to it as the hijab.
Yes.
Okay.
And
now
even, by the way, in Arab countries, they call it hijab.
In the Arab countries, yeah, they refer
Hence
to
my
as
surname.
hijab, yeah?
Hence my surname.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now, what she's done is, there's this new word that's been made, and she is using this argument to say, hey, the Quran doesn't mention the hijab, and we're like, you're right. It doesn't mention the hijab, and then we both agree on that.
The word hijab is always made for like barrier or something like that.
Yes. But what she's missing out is she's saying, look, the hijab isn't mentioned, and we're like, obviously,
do you know what this is
because
called?
What is the core fundamental belief of a Muslim? Tawheed.
I'm allergic to apples, man.
Tawheed,
Yes,
right?
Tawheed, yeah.
Tawheed, believing in one God.
You're allergic to
Wait,
apple.
the core fundamental belief of a Muslim is believing in one God, monotheism, Tawheed.
Tawheed.
How many times is Tawheed mentioned in the Quran?
In its
Exactly.
pure form, as like
In
that?
Tawheed.
Never like
Never.
that. It's in Sahih Muslim though, just to be...
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Oh, of
yeah.
course. Yeah. I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if we were to use that argument,
Exactly.
Sahih.
how
You know,
many
it's a
times
good
is
point.
Christian mentioned in the Bible?
None?
How many times Christian? No. These arguments are pure. I personally feel like it's just a personal thing for her. She don't want to wear
You
the
know,
hijab.
shall I tell you something, yeah? Because this just shows to me, anyone that would believe this and take this,
But you know what?
have
Can I tell you something?
desire
Can I
problems.
say something? Yeah. If the word hijab was used, she would probably have an argument. Yeah. But the fact that the word khimar is used and jilbab, or the plurals of both of them, she's got nowhere to go because the word khimar actually specifies a location, actual centrality from the head going downward. So if the word hijab was used, it would be more unspecific than the word khimar or jilbab.
I'm desperate. I need to pee. I just came suddenly. Like honestly, I'm really.
No, you know what? Undo your first button. You're flipping squeezing your flipping bladder.
Make sure it doesn't come on.
Can I go to the toilet? Just pee.
That means hijab. That physical screen, that means hijab. That barrier, that divide, that means hijab. Hijab doesn't mean a woman's veil.
Exactly.
Yes.
But she's right though.
It turns out that the Prophet's first wife was what we would define today as a CEO. And Muhammad's second wife? She rode into battle on the back of a camel, which is equivalent to a woman riding into battle today inside of a Humvee or a tank. One woman became famous as a general when she led her army of men into battle and crushed a rebellion. Women even loudly debated with the Prophet himself.
So far we agree, yes?
With those things,
of course.
we go.
Islam empowers women.
Yeah.
There you go. Look, we calm. We okay with that.
Of course.
Society to 600 AD, it might be a huge step forward.
See, they're laughing. The crowd is laughing.
Okay,
I'm happy with
that's
that.
a sick point she made. I have to give it to her.
Yeah.
She's saying if we go back to that time, the woman actually have more rights. Yes?
Yeah.
Islamically as well, yeah? Obviously.
She's saying progression is
Bro,
moving.
exactly. That was a profound point that I would give it to the sister.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know why? Because that's exactly what we push out today. And that's why the problem is we found out that she's a feminist. Yes?
Yeah, okay.
She has this movement in America. Yeah?
Okay.
Now, this is what we say when we give our talks, yeah? We say, look, if you want to abolish the abuse of women by men, acid attacks, beating, whatever it may be, what do? Bring something that's man-made 1400 years later, or like she said, go back 1400 years ago.
Yeah.
Islam.
Yeah, do you get what I'm trying to
That's
say?
a good point.
Exactly.
You
So
know,
she's not implementing what
you're
she's saying.
absolutely right.
But did you get my point?
I got your point.
If we want to get over, beat this abuse towards women, etc.,
Speed it up.
yeah, we should implement the Quran and Sunnah. This is how we abolish these kinds of things.
O Prophet, Tell your wives, your daughters, and the women of the believers to draw upon themselves their garments. Parentheses. A garment is a veil that covers the entire head and the face, the neck, the breast, all the way down to the ankles and all the way to the wrists. Everything on a woman's body is exposed except for one eye, because she must see where she is
I know
headed.
what translation is.
And the hands must be covered in gloves.
Okay, she tried saying that the people who have been entrusted with the interpretation of the Quran are men, and as if all the people that have been entrusted with the interpretation of the Quran have been men.
No, actually, he hasn't.
Okay, so let's think about, even at the time of the Prophet, which women were at the fore of interpreting Quranic jurisprudence or Quranic verses in the light of jurisprudence. People like Aisha, radiallahu anha, people like Salama, people like Zainab.
So they actually interpreted this.
These are the women who we have the, I would say, I don't know, but the majority of ahadith that refer to the hijab come from these women.
It comes from them.
It comes
I
from
can drop the
women.
mic, I don't want to do this video anymore.
It comes from women, I think.
Aki, goodbye.
Bro,
I'm going, Aki.
more ahadith come from Aisha than Umar.
Forget that. They specifically translated these verses to mean what?
I'm telling you, Aisha, she's the one. When these verses came down,
Aki, that's
when
it.
these verses came down, when
That's
the
it.
mothers of the believers, they heard these verses,
Yeah.
they are the ones who not only, they knew what it meant, but they acted upon it instantaneously
Instantly,
by
man.
taking the...
Yeah, I heard that
Go on.
Ansari women would actually rip parts of their clothes when the verses came down and wrap it around their head.
So were they women or men that were doing this?
What do you mean?
It was women that were doing this, right? So how did they interpret the Quran? They were the women that were interpreting the Quran. So what she's doing here, the first point of problem is that she's doing a disservice to herself, thinking that it's all men. No, it's not all men. Number two, let's just say it is all men for the sake of argument. It's not. I mean, there is a considerable amount of Islamic scholars that are women. A considerable amount. More than any other religion. Hundreds of thousands of Muslim scholars, men and women, they colluded, now think of it this way, they colluded together to intentionally superimpose a very specific type of meaning onto the verse of the Quran.
And get away with it.
And get away with
And
it.
you
Not
keep-
one of them, or not at least a community of them, who have reputation, who understand the sacred sciences, would stand up and say, you know what, let's do the right thing and interpret the verses in the correct way in light of the Arabic language.
Yeah, exactly.
This is actually a conspiracy. The word khimar, as we said, it means from the top to the bottom. So he took, that means the whole body.
Basically, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The only difference is it one eye? Is it niqab? Is it like just
That's
your face?
it.
And
He took the view that it's one eye. Right?
Exactly.
Okay, you don't need to take that view.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that this is within the scope of discussion.
Yeah.
What she's saying is not within the scope of discussion.
Islam is not conforming to the social norms, so she feels uncomfortable.
It's desires, man. It's desires. It's not nice. Did she mention one scholar? Did she mention one
She
scholar?
didn't make
Aki?
any reference.
One.
There was no reference. Even when she referenced the Quran, she didn't reference
So
it.
to be honest, I'll make it very simple. Okay, let's just wrap up with this. Yeah, any sister, any brother, whatever that watches this and sees it as something that affects them, I'm sorry, desires. There's nothing, zero. So guys, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shut up.
Hey, give me one. Thanks, Ali. Subscribe. Woohoo!